how long have you been doing this work in apologetics?
Probably, I think we got on YouTube in like 2007 or 2008, right after it came out.
Whoa, I didn't realize that.
We weren't focusing on YouTube back then. Back then it was mainly, we would announce, hey, we're going to be speaking at this church, at this place, and people would message us, oh, I can't be there because I live in this country. And then we're like, okay, we'll toss that on this new thing, YouTube, and then anyone in the world can watch it. And it was, so that was our only intention for YouTube and so on. Eventually, we made a video. We were just goofing off. You may remember this, but there was this was a long time ago. There was a guy, it was Pastor Terry Jones, and he was going to have a Burn the Quran Day in Florida. I actually debated the guy. I was like, seriously, you want to start? You want to respond with book burnings and stuff? We had a debate about that. But at the same time, when I was debating this guy, I was thinking, Uthman, the third of the rightly guided caliphs, burned all the Qurans. So by the time you get to the third of the rightly guided caliphs, so you have Muhammad, then you have Abu Bakr, then you have Umar, then you have Uthman.
Okay.
By the time you're at Uthman, there are so many differences in the Quran that he has to order the entire Muslim community to hand over their Qurans. And he burns them all and issues a standardized Quran. And I'm thinking, why are they getting mad at this guy burning a Quran, which isn't affecting the Quran? There's Qurans all over. But they're not getting mad that this guy burned all the Qurans. How are you not mad about that, right? So we made a video and it was called The Original Burn the Quran Day. And it's just me and Nabil goofing off where we're reading all these passages.
I don't know about this at all, by the way, so I'm interested.
Oh, yeah.
Just in case you assumed I knew all about this and therefore truncating your story.
Because this is what changed our mind about the significance of YouTube.
All right.
So we make a video and I'm sitting there and it's funny because we planned this, how I was going to be a Quran burner and Nabil's going to come up and start arguing with me. So I'm there and we realized none of us had a lighter and stuff. So I just took a stick and I start rubbing the stick. Like I'm starting a fire by rubbing a stick in a pile of Islamic books. And Nabil walks in, we're like over the top, ridiculous acting. And he walks in, David, what are you doing? You're not going to burn these books, are you? And I'm like, well, the thought had crossed my mind. He goes, no, books are filled with valuable knowledge. Here, I'll open one to a random page. And he opens it up and it's about Uthman burning all the Qurans. And then we're shocked, right? We're shocked that they were burning Qurans. And they were like, we got to go through. And we're pretending to open these things randomly. But it's about all the changes to the Quran, verses eaten by a sheep, entire chapters being forgotten because people forgot to recite them and so on. And we're just going through this. And by the end, we're like, hey, it's good that we're not burning these books because they contain all this information about the history of the Quran and so on. So we were just goofing off. We had been doing shows in a studio and we're hanging out with guys afterwards and we make this video. We stick it on YouTube, just joking.
Yeah.
And it was, I forget, it was like a week or 10 days later, it had hit 100,000 views.
Whoa.
And that's when I clicked on YouTube Analytics for the first time. I had no idea what analytics of what. And I clicked on it. And it told you where people are watching it. It's like at the top was the United States. Next, it would be like UK and then Canada and so on. Got down to like 6th or 7th or 8th place or whatever it was. And it said it's either 3.6 or 3.8% Pakistan. And I just looked at that and I go, 3.6% of 100, that's 3,600 people in Pakistan who just watched all this stuff that's in their sources that you couldn't tell them if you went there. They'd form a mob as soon as you started talking about the Quran being changed and stuff like that. They'd form a mob and they'd beat you to death. And it just hit me right there. It's for 14 centuries, Muslim leaders have been able to keep their people insulated from hearing any criticisms of anything they're saying and from hearing any alternative position presented to them. Their leaders have been able, especially in places like Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and so on, they've been able to keep their people insulated from hearing a serious presentation of the gospel. Because you had missionaries who go over there, and if you were at all successful and people started converting to Christianity, you're going to get your head chopped off. And so it just hit me like we have just reached a new era of history where they can no longer keep their people insulated, which means we now have access to people in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and all these places through the internet. And that was just like, I don't want to go around speaking anymore. I mean, I'll do it if someone asks, but I would rather just sit here and make videos in front of my camera and have people in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and everyone around the world watching it. And so that's why I really focused on YouTube after that.
Do you have that original video? Does that still exist?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
All right. So then did you come at the topic systematically, or did you just start making videos on whatever you were interested in?
Basically whatever I was interested in, but I'd learned from Muslims what their main reasons were for believing in Islam. And I've been going through the sources with Nabil and learning responses to those. And it's almost always the case that what they're told is not what their sources say. And so it was just, hey, you've heard this. Let's see what it says. And also Christian apologetics. Hey, you've been told Christians can't support this, and I'll make a video about it. And so it was just like that. It was all based on discussions with him, and then just kind of making videos about all the stuff I'd learned over time. And so just kept doing that and found out, well, Muslims around the world had the same sort of objections and issues and so on. So let's just make that common knowledge. That's been kind of the goal. Make the criticisms common knowledge, make the responses to arguments common knowledge.
I see.
And then you also, because then I found out over time that I'm not just talking to Muslims, it's Christians who are talking to the Muslim friend, and their Muslim friend says, this is a scientific miracle. How could Muhammad have known this? And so they go look it up and, oh, wait, now here's a video waiting for them. Well, look at what this says. Let's look at the commentaries. And so it was all making it there for them.
What has the response been like from Muslims over the last however many years, 20 years or so? Go and download Truthfully. It's a platform bringing honest conversations and real answers to life's toughest questions.
Back then, it was tons and tons and tons of death threats.
Really? And how did were they comments in YouTube? Was it email? How did you get it? And what did they say?
All of those and tons of them. I mean, I get 40 or 50 death threats a day. And I'm going to kill you. It's going to be your wife. It's going to be your kids, all that stuff.
See, it's funny because sometimes when people say they get death threats, I often wonder if they're kind of blowing it out of proportion. But of course, Nabil gets it on his car. Okay, that's terrifying. They talk about your wife and kids. That's terrifying. So are these emails, direct messages? What are you getting?
Emails, comments on Facebook, tweets, mostly YouTube in response to videos and stuff like that. But yeah, emails. And it was way worse back then, way worse, because there are only a few people doing it. There are only a few people criticizing Islam publicly. And as long as there's like 2, 3, 4 people, and back then there was very few people. There was Samuel Green down in Australia. Okay. There was Jay Smith in the UK. There's Tony Costa up in Canada. And there were like a couple of us in America. Now, there are other people who are like writing articles and stuff like that. But as far as people like putting their faces out there and talking about this stuff, there's a handful, but that means you know exactly who to target with threats and so on. It's way better now that there's way more people. Now you have tons of ex-Muslims, because back then you had very few ex-Muslims who were known to be ex-Muslims. Now there are ex-Muslims everywhere.
Really?
I mean, all over the place. And
wow. I'd love to hear more about that.
And the YouTube algorithm now has been programmed to detect death threats. So when I get a death threat on YouTube now, it's like worded oddly. If you just say, I'm going to kill you, that instantly, I'll see it pop up. If I'm on there when you get your update and stuff like that, I'll see it. And then like a second later, it disappears. So, or when I refresh the page, it disappears. So now they're way less frequent.
Wow. So you say a lot of Muslims are converting. What evidence do you have to support that? Is that just a story that Christians want to tell themselves so they can feel triumphant, or is it actually happening?
Oh, it's happening. Happening all the time. In fact, so the official statistics are among young Muslims. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, the statistic was 24% of young Muslims are leaving Islam. That's up from what was close to 0% just if you go back 2 decades. So the apostasy rate among young Muslims went from around 0% to 24%. Now the most recent one was 26%. So you've got that. You've got statistics that show that between 60 and 70% of Muslims who convert to Islam leave it within a couple of years. So people who are, hey, I'm converting to Islam, and then they find out, oh, there's all this stuff I wasn't told before as part of the deal, and then they leave Islam. So most people, so if anyone's watching, they're going, oh, my cousin converted to Islam, what am I going to do? Probably going to leave Islam within the next couple of years, because that's just, that's what's been happening. But I only started keeping track because back when I was getting started, it was standard in Christianity, among Christians, that you don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran. You don't do it.
I remember being told that. I wrote an article against Islam back in 2012, and I put an image, and it was like a respectful image of Muhammad, and everyone assured me that I'd be killed, don't do that. So I was like, oh, I took it down. But then I see the kind of things, the kind of characters of Muhammad you post. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I could have, but maybe I'd be getting death threats. Yeah,
so back then, it was, and I always tell people, they have no idea how much it sucked back then. When I say there was only a few of us dealing with Islam that were actually, going after Muslim arguments and stuff, back then, I'm talking 2008, 2009, if you were going after Islam, you got blasted by everyone. So you're getting death threats
Right.
heaped on you from Muslims. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill your wife. We're going to kill your family, all this stuff. We're going to do this to your mom, blah, blah, blah. Atheists, this was the height of the new atheism. So the new atheist responses you got, there were always atheists who were like, I hope you're successful, right? Because there were always atheists who were like, okay, I think all this is nonsense, but I'd rather have Christianity than Islam.
Sam Harris
so you had
types.
those, you had those guys. But you also had just tons of the new atheists who their response was, how dare you criticize another religion when you're religious too, and all religions are stupid, you giant hypocrite. So you're getting blasted there. But then even Christians, we're supposed to be loving, and this is hurting their feelings. How are you attacking Muhammad when this is so dear to them? You're just going to drive them away. You're just going to drive them away. And I heard this for years from Christians, and I was like, me criticizing Muhammad doesn't drive them away. They can't stay away from me. They come right at me. They come right at me and start arguing. Where are you saying this is going to drive them away and they're never going to talk to you again? And I actually had to try and figure out where that idea came up among Christians. Because again, it was standard. There was every Christian you talk to almost was telling you,
nice.
don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran. You're just going to drive them away and you'll never be able to reach them with the gospel. And so I was trying to figure this out. I eventually tracked it down to two sources. Two sources I found this. One, it was Christians who heard from a missionary, right? You'd have missionaries over in Muslim countries and they come back and they give a presentation on reaching Muslims and stuff like that. And they would say, don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran. Well, that makes sense if you're a missionary in Pakistan. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. We're talking about us here, but everyone's hearing, don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran. It's just going to enrage them. And I'm thinking, okay, so you guys are taking advice from people where it makes sense and then applying it here where it doesn't make sense. So I'm not taking that seriously. The other source of this information was from interfaith dialogues, where the Muslim speaker would say, isn't it great that we're building bridges and all getting together for these discussions, and we've got a Jew here and the Jew's watching, and we've got a Christian here and the Christian's watching, and we all get to speak and get along. Isn't this great? Just so you know, if you want to keep these bridges going, if you want to continue having these discussions, never criticize Muhammad or the Quran, because then there won't be any bridges and we won't have any of these discussions. And so Christians will be telling me this. And I heard from this guy at the interfaith meeting, he said, don't ever criticize Muhammad or the Quran because we want to build bridges and you're just trying to burn the bridges down. What's wrong with you? And I'm going, wait, let me repeat to you what you just said. You tell me if you think this makes sense. You're telling me that you believe that this Muslim speaker talking to a bunch of Christians and telling them, if you want to effectively share the gospel with Muslim, don't do these things. And you think this Muslim speaker is trying to give you valuable insights into reaching Muslims with the gospel. That's your takeaway there. You think this guy is trying to tell you how to reach Muslims with the gospel. That's what you believe? And kind of just saying it, they kind of,
Fair point.
Maybe I shouldn't. Because I'm like, if I'm hearing from a Muslim speaker who's telling me how to preach the gospel, I'm probably going to think I need to do the exact opposite of what this guy's saying, because there's no way he's actually trying to help me.
Thank you very much for watching that Pints with Aquinas clip. If you like it, do me a favor, click like and subscribe, and please offer a Hail Mary for the work of Pints with Aquinas and all the people we're trying to reach. God bless you.